I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Radnor Township Comprehensive Land Use Plan Implementation Committee. And first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. So if we could. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our agenda tonight is a short one. It is a reorganization meeting, and we're accepting nominations and approvals for chair and vice chair. So with that, I'll open it up to anyone nominating for chair.
I nominate Cheryl Tomola as chair.
Second.
I'm sorry.
We voted on it. Second, is any discussion? All in favor?
I move we close the nominations. I move we close the nominations.
How old is Cheryl?
I don't know. I have no idea. No idea, Al. You might want to ask her that yourself.
But she's not here to defend herself.
No, it's
so
not. But that's a very good question.
Is her birthday today?
I think that might be true.
I see.
Well,
Yes.
well.
Al, I don't think you're allowed to ask that question.
Really? That's one of those
Company?
confidentials. Yeah.
No, legally.
So the motion's been moved and seconded for chair Cheryl Tomola. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Unanimously approved. Congratulations to Cheryl. Next item on the agenda is nomination for vice chair. Is there a nomination?
I nominate Al Murphy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Do you want to tell us how old you are?
63.
And will you come on your birthday?
I will.
Oh, okay.
Nomination's been moved and seconded for vice chair
I
Al
move we
Murphy.
close the nominations.
And we will close the nominations. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. And with that, the chair is not here, so I will turn the meeting over to the vice chair. So you can come right over here. All right? Congratulations and thank you.
If nominated, I will not run.
Already used that one.
The coup is over.
The coup is over.
Don't forget your silk scarf. God forbid you're part of the ensemble again.
Honestly, Steve, what did you have on the rest of the agenda?
That was basically it. I did get a suggestion from Rick Barker, who was sick today, by the way, who called me, but he said it'd be a good idea if we had a secretary to take the meeting minutes, so at least we can stay compliant and current. So
In the future?
yes. So if you want to do that tonight, that's up to you. You can set future meetings, see what we want to do with direction, however you want to proceed. It's all on you. So
Okay, any discussion of that? Because the meetings are televised, right? So you have a record, of the meetings. What's the protocol for having a secretary to, I mean, is that redundant?
It is, but I think that if anything, it just can say we met, who was here, what the agenda was, and so forth. I don't think we need a transcript of everything that was said, but
Right.
I do think we need to have something written and present it back to the township staff on record, so they don't have to.
Do any of the other boards, does EAC have a secretary? Oh, you do? Okay, I don't think the Parks Board does, but.
Can you hear?
Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, every board does. Every
Thanks.
board does.
Jim
Okay.
Dolan.
So the procedure would be not to do a transcript, but basically do a summary of the events.
Yeah, exactly. We met, and it was the time, who was here, any of the public that who expect,
Okay.
that who spoke.
So why don't we, until we sort that out, why don't we just have it so the vice chair temporarily takes the notes, summarizes it, and then we can work out if we want to get someone to take a position as secretary.
Okay.
Then we can do that at some point. So I'll just summarize the notes, and then they would go to Bob Z.
I would think so, and he can
So
pass them
summarize
down,
the
too.
notes, send them, so we
Yes.
can work out the protocol. So as part of what we'll do tonight, besides the reorganization, is I'll take the meeting notes for tonight, send those to Bob Z. Now, and do we have an agenda or a schedule of meetings? Anything? I haven't.
No,
seen
I know that a while back, we decided to meet quarterly, only because monthly, unless we had certain specific items to discuss, the idea back then was to everybody to gather their own information, bring it back together as a board. We could discuss it then and meet quarterly or as needed. So if we want to go back to a monthly schedule, again, that's up to us to decide, or Al or you, or what items we want to work on first, second, third, or fourth. You and Cheryl, I should say. So maybe the best thing is to get in touch with Cheryl and see what direction the board would like to go in, or would you like to see it moved into, and then, from that we can
And then put
discuss.
that
So
out.
we can, if you want to meet next week, or I'm sorry, next month, to move forward, we can do that as well.
To push
So-
that forward. So, one thing that we have talked about, and by the way, it's great to see Robin here. This is so much fun. Is to, I know something that's been on my mind, and we've kicked it around, individually by telephone and collectively as a group, particularly a couple of meetings ago with Bob Z, is what prospectively, what should be the role of this committee? And if nothing else, maybe we could talk about that a little bit tonight. But it seems to me that we need to be, as it relates to our relationship with the township, a little bit more proactive. And, as you said earlier, maybe get some sort of mandate or something that allows us to become more effective rather than serving completely sort of as a residual source of information, or, every 10 years drafting a plan. And I know I said to Bob at the end of last year is, there's a lot of experience collectively on this board that should be used in a more efficient way at the township level. Doesn't make, not necessarily another level of approval, but integrated in some way that could be a resource to the township manager and the commissioners. That's one thing that I would like to get out for sure as a point of discussion at the next meeting. And if anybody has any thoughts, I think that there are varying degrees of thought on that. I know, John, you have had your own thoughts on that, exactly where that should be and how broad we should be. Not necessarily should we be another, source of approval, but somewhere in there, there's somewhere between where we are now and what we could be doing. I think we need to become more efficient in some way. And I have some ideas on that, particularly with the indications in the township that Bob Z wants to move the township and the commissioners want to move the township in a certain direction. Personally, I think that we ought to make sure that that's integrated, and we have some new board members, new commissioners. Should we get more active with them to make sure that what's being proposed is integrated into the comprehensive plan? And if it's not, what role should we have in terms of directing that and helping direct that? So that's what I'd like to see us, is whether it's quarterly or monthly. I don't know whether monthly is necessary, but certainly quarterly for now, is to become more proactive in the development of those plans for the township. I know Ardrossan's been on the agenda for I don't know how many years now. It's it's hot, it's not hot, and there's a real estate crisis that took Ardrossan back a little bit, but there's a lot going on in the township, and the direction of it is being plotted by the leadership today, and I think we should be part of that. So I don't know if anybody wants to weigh in on that at the first meeting of the year, but that's part of what stuff that keeps me up at night.
Well, I agree that we need to decide what the agenda for this committee will be, and I don't have any problems with our being proactive. I think that the only concern I've had in the past is I think we can certainly be proactive in terms of implementing what's in the comprehensive plan now. I think once we go beyond what's in the comprehensive plan now, then I think we need direction from the township. I mean, the township can certainly tell us to look into any particular issue they want us to look into. But I think that where you and I have maybe had a little bit of difference is I don't view us as being a kind of a super planning commission.
Right. Right, but if I'm not sure the board and the staff are familiar enough with the comp plan to really to give me comfort at night to know that the plans that are being made are going to be consistent with the plan itself. So it's, 2 plans ago or 3 plans ago, we made it, it sat on a shelf, nobody looked at it, and there was a concern about that. Then it was done again, largely by a number of people in this room, and this committee was formed to help provide some guidance. So we've sort of gone halfway there. It seems to be now that, we're around, the township doesn't know exactly how to use us. So we maybe need to define that a little bit better. And certainly within the role of the comprehensive planner, maybe modify the comprehensive plan to fit that role. Because if something's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's right. I think one of the things that might be a help is to do some sort of re-education
Right.
somehow.
To each of the committees and,
Each of the committees, we get some sort of summary together of what the comp plan was, how it was developed and why, what the goals were that we accomplished, what's still left to be accomplished. So everybody brings it, so it's back up to forefront, because I think even if you read it now, it's still a little tough to get a hold of and grasp, even if you read it through it a couple times. So I think it's good to get in front of each board somehow. If we can get on their agenda, at some of their lightly scheduled agenda meetings, so we don't take up too much time, that we can, they're free to ask questions and get a good feel for what we've done so far.
right, I mean, could we, for example, if we wanted to get more proactive, I mean, we don't want to be a super planning committee. We can fit in here in parallel. Would that require official action by the board in the form of an ordinance or in the form of some directive to create us to a next level of authority?
To do what?
Well, change our mandate.
But how, Al?
I'm sorry?
How?
Well, that's the question. I
Yeah.
mean, would it require them to pass an ordinance that would empower us to have a function that goes beyond the comprehensive plan?
Well, I mean, one of the things I'd like to see us get involved in is the review of any code amendments that are proposed as that process moves forward. I mean, again, that's not something that one would necessarily think would be a function of this committee, but if you think about it, it fits in, because when code amendments are proposed, there's probably nobody better equipped than this committee to determine whether they're consistent with the plan.
Right?
No, I don't disagree with that, but I think that in answer to your question now, I think if we were to undertake that function, I think we would need to get the commissioner's blessing, because it's not in our original job description.
No, I think we should ask them to refer it to us to take a look at.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know that that necessarily involves a charter type of change in defining what our responsibilities are. It could be an ad hoc thing.
Right.
It doesn't require an ordinance. I mean, I think they would pass a simple resolution
Right.
expanding our jurisdiction.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, when we're out and about the township and we're talking to someone and they say, what do you do for the township? And you say, I'm on the comprehensive plan committee. If they say, what exactly is that committee and what is it exactly that you do, and how, I mean, if your answer goes beyond so many words, I mean, it's not easy to define. Maybe if nothing else, that as Dottie was saying, we need to have our role more codified and defined as as it relates to its functionality inside the township hierarchy, and actually become either a line item on the organization chart, or in some way organization chart, and provide us some definition. I mean, I have to tell you, if I was the township manager, I would want to have this group involved, providing as much information and resource as possible. This is how many dozens of years experience versus just a couple of years of experience. That's one way that I look at it. It would make all of the commissioners' jobs easier, and all of the staff easier. I mean, we don't have, the township census has collapsed dramatically. So, having this volunteer board provide information in a much more structured way could be of real value.
Well, one thing we might do before the next meeting, because we have to do this in the next couple of months anyway, is for all of us to take a look at the list of recommendations that came out of the comp plan and just see where we are at this point. Because we have to give a report to the commissioners, when is that, in April? At some point in the spring?
It's supposed to be the first quarter.
First quarter, okay. So maybe we should all do that by, our next meeting anyway. Is to look at our recommendations and see what progress we have made and, where we need to, pick up the slack.
Right, and Steve, how did we do that last time? Each person took a section and wrote up, where we stand on that particular section, and then you pulled that together, or someone pulled it together and
I believe
sent it to
that's
the
correct,
commission?
Al, that it was pretty much a collaborative effort with each section, getting a summary of what was completed and where we need to go with it, and did present it to the board, along with the list of accomplishments, pretty much like an Excel spreadsheet of what, with each goal or recommendation, and if it was completed or not.
Because there are
Right, so-
9 chapters and 9 members of the committee, so it worked out
Right,
very
right.
well, though I'm not sure, because we do have some new members, I'm not sure that all the assignments at this point are
Yeah, so we need
clear.
to, we'll have to clarify all that, and we probably shouldn't get too far ahead of us, because Cheryl's not here. So, if nothing else, we have to reconnect with her, so after this, I'll make sure that I reach out to her, and then we'll work on something between now and whether we meet in a month. Maybe we should meet right away in a month, just to try to pull all this together, and then after that, meet.
I think that's a good
quarterly,
idea.
to allow us to get a jump on 2012, and then particularly with Cheryl not here, and I'll as soon as she turns the clock one more notch, I'll talk to her tomorrow. She'll still talk to us. So-
One of the things I'd like to see us do is, we'll first let everyone know that the comprehensive plan is available on the website in
Right.
chapters. So I'd heard a little while ago that people didn't know where to find copies of it. There are digital copies. Steve, you were right. They're right there. I think generally, I've observed that people are not aware of what is in the plan, and that's citizens and also people on the boards. So I think the education idea is an excellent idea, and it doesn't have to be very complicated. It can just be, a summary of what it's supposed to do. Because as I look at it, it is the strategic plan for the township.
Right.
And I don't think people are aware that there is a strategic plan, and we're about to start to have to write another one. So that would be my thought.
Yeah, there's, because of the way that it's done, it's not perceived as a living document. It's almost this theoretical what if, and then just sort of sits out there until we take a look at it again. So that's what we have to do. We have to integrate it somehow to become a living document, because a number of people here just put a ton of time into that to get it to where it is.
And it's probably also worthwhile now to look at it, to see if, at the time that it was written, it was a very different environment than what it is today.
Yeah, right.
So to see some of the recommendations were based on, certain understandings and trends at the time. And if all of that has changed fundamentally, then I think we have to, really take a look at some of our recommendations and, see if they need to be revised as well.
Right, so it's all
That's a good point.
pre-2008,
Right.
so, right, that's a good idea.
Susan, do you know whether our goals are on the website as well, or just the plan itself?
I don't, and I remember getting a copy of that. I'd love another copy of that, because
Yeah.
I got a copy of that years ago, but I don't have it anymore, and I would like to get a copy of that, and let's put it on the website. It can be
Yeah.
scanned and put on there.
And this needs to be updated. I mean, I think Dottie's absolutely right. I mean, even if we didn't change any of our recommendations, it's really outdated in terms of what's been accomplished.
So it'll be the goal to codify that, try to set a meeting for a month, and then go on a quarterly, perhaps after that, but talk to Cheryl and see how she wants to handle it.
Exactly. I have one recommendation. I would check with Jim Doling for availability.
For
this room,
availability.
And then we're back into that date.
Maybe we only pick nights where we can get this room for like 15 minutes to a half hour.
All
Make
in
sure that we
favor?
get done and just get out of here. Anything, I don't have anything else. Anybody wants to?
Well, we probably should set our quarterly meetings, because I think we have to meet quarterly. So we probably should set them, and at one point, we did set them, but I don't remember what they were.
I don't remember.
I think we're on the agenda for the beginning of March.
Are we?
Mhm.
Yeah. Which we could still keep though.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, anything else from anyone?
Yes.
March 1st? March 1st is that? Okay,
I think we should meet February.
meet in
and then-
February.
And even roll into March, that way we keep the quarterly schedule.
Correct.
And if we
Okay,
have to meet in between times, we always can,
right.
so.
Anything else? Anyone make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Anyone Second. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.